In compliance with the orders of the Supreme Court, the Commission met this morning and reviewed the result of the election in which 45 political parties contested. The candidate of the People's Democratic Party scored the highest number of lawful votes. Consequently, Senator Duoye Diri and Senator Lawrence Erujakpo of the PDP are hereby declared winners and returned elected as Governor and Deputy Governor of Bayelsa State, respectively.
Following the Supreme Court judgment delivered on the 13th of February 2020, disqualifying the APC candidate from the November 16 Bayelsa gubernatorial election on grounds that David Leon's elected Deputy Governor, Senator Biobarakuma Degieremeyo, presented a forged certificate. Senator Eremeyo has described the Supreme Court ruling as a calculated attempt not only to deny him his victory through the judicial process, but equally to tarnish his image on completely false allegations. Eremeyo's reaction at a press conference in Abuja is coming 1 week after the Apex Court's verdict. He called on the Nigerian Police Force to conduct a thorough investigation into the names appearing in the said certificates.
For avoidance of doubts, all the names, and I repeat, for avoidance of doubts, all the names in my documents as presented to INEC are mine, except such as misspelled, which were equally explained in affidavits. All my academic certificates are also genuine and can be verified from the respective institutions. I will willingly and ready to submit myself, even as a serving senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, in any criminal investigation or inquiry as regards my names, my academic certificates, and I call on the Nigerian police specifically now to launch one without further delay.
In a unanimous judgment headed by Justice Mary Peter Odili, which removed the APC candidate on grounds of forgery in the certificate submitted to INEC by his running mate, Senator Biobarakuma Degi Eremeyo, Justice Ejembi Eko said Leon's running mate used different names, judging from the primary school certificate obtained in 1976, General Certificate of Education (GCE) in 1984, First Degree in 1990, NYSC Discharge Certificate, and Master's Degree, saying there was no attempt to legally correct the different names used on the certificate. As such, the certificates were product of forgery. On the part of Senator Eremeyo, he said in quotes, "It is a serious matter. Allegations of forgery and impersonation were made against me, and it was only fair to hear me out. By not hearing me out before condemning me, the court simply shaved my head in my absence, thus denying me my fundamental right to fair hearing." End of quotes. The APC deputy governorship candidate was said to have violated Section 182 of the 1999 Constitution, which nullified the election of David Leon. However, in Degi Eremeyo's defense, he maintained that the trial court made a specific finding that the case against him was not a case of forgery at page 52 of the judgment, which read in quotes, "First and foremost, I have to state that this case is one of an allegation of giving false information in the affidavit of the third defendant to the second defendant. The allegation, in my view, is not that of forgery. However, the third and fourth defendants have spent precious time arguing the case of forgery and cited and relied upon judicial authorities on forgery, thereby demanding proof beyond fair doubt. They have erred and left the real cause of the substantive suit. The entire submission on forgery go against the grain and irrelevant in this case." End of quote.
There is a difference between presenting false information and forging a document. Presenting false information simply means statement is not true. Forging a document means either concocting a document that is not in existence for people to act upon as genuine, or altering important parts of the document to mislead people.
In a swift reaction, the All Progressive Congress rejected the Supreme Court decision.
If, as the Supreme Court has ruled, David Leon cannot now be sworn in as governor, and the person who has the highest number of votes and a spread be sworn in, it simply means that from tomorrow there will be no government in Bayelsa State.
The PDP on its part described Oshomole's comment on the Bayelsa ruling as inconsequential and empty ranting. The party warned Oshomole to stay clear of Bayelsa State, as his apparent plots to trigger violence in the state has failed. In an apparent move by supporters of the All Progressive Congress who were said to have stormed the residence of Justice Mary Odili, one of the protesters was seen carrying a card with a write-up in quote to the effect that the 13th of February 2020 judgment was a miscarriage of justice spearheaded by Justice Mary Odili, end of quote. The Rivers State government in a communique said it will hold Timipre Silva and Adams Oshiomhole responsible if anything happens to Dr. Peter Odili and members of his family, saying it has observed that the federal government seems not to show interest in the sponsored threats to the lives of Dr. Peter Odili and members of his family. While INEC has presented a certificate of return to Senator Loyediri and his deputy, it appears that may not be the final thing to be heard from the pronouncement of the Supreme Court, as the APC candidate insists in court. The procedure adopted by the Federal High Court and affirmed by the Supreme Court prevented the whole truth concerning me and my educational certificate to be reviewed, end of quote. The APC candidate said he attended State School Basambiri, now State School 1 Nembe, where he obtained his first school leaving certificate. He also stated that he attended 2 secondary schools, Neyemoni Grammar School, Abonema, Rivers State, but the WAEC result of 5 subjects were cancelled in his examination center, of which he re-enrolled in Government Secondary School Anyama Ogbia in Bayelsa State.
The seeming discrepancies in my name, which I have adequately explained by an affidavit, was not impeached by any evidence that the names were misspelled by the issuing authorities. The issuing authorities who are accessible by my accusers were not called to impeach my assertion in the affidavit explaining away these errors I stated, which were not illegal.
Now that the APC has applied for a review of the judgment, which it considers as unfair, it is obvious that the dust raised in the battle for Bayelsa's #1 seat is yet to settle.